They buried the real Jesus. Not literally. On purpose.
The image you carry of Jesus right now is not from history. It was designed carefully, deliberately, over centuries. And the people who designed it knew exactly what they were doing. They needed him distant, because a distant Jesus can't challenge you. A distant Jesus can't make you uncomfortable. A distant Jesus fits neatly into a box and stays there. But the real one walked into rooms that would make most of us leave. And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly which rooms those were and why they kept that from you. Here's what nobody tells you about every painting you've ever seen of Jesus. They were commissioned. Someone paid for them. And the people paying had an agenda. They needed him to look calm, untouchable, above it all. Because that version of Jesus doesn't disrupt anything. That version sits quietly in a frame. But history doesn't sit quietly. We now have enough archaeological evidence to reconstruct what daily life actually looked like in first century Galilee. And it looks nothing like those paintings. So the question isn't whether the image is wrong. The question is how wrong. And what exactly did they remove to make it work? Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you in the next few minutes, the actual world he moved through every single day, is going to change something in how you read every story you've ever heard about him. Close your eyes. Actually do it. You hear it before you see anything. Movement. Voices layered over each other. Animals. The sound of sandals on uneven stone. The air is dry, dense, carrying dust that settles on your skin, your clothes, your throat. There is no separation between spaces here. Cooking smoke drifts through the same air where people sleep. Animals move through areas where children play. Strangers and neighbors exist in permanent overlap. Nothing stays clean, nothing stays still. And this wasn't a detail of the world Jesus moved through. This was the world itself, every single day. Now, place him in it. Not above it, not outside it, in it. He walks roads that haven't been swept in days. He breathes the same air. He sits in the same cramped, overlapping spaces. And here is the detail that changes everything. People approached him freely. Not because he looked important, not because he looked holy, because he looked reachable. The first people to come to him weren't the respected ones. They were the sick, the poor, the ones everyone else was walking past. They came because something about his presence said, "You can." That detail, that one quiet detail, is almost completely absent from the version we've been given. Why? We'll get there. But first, I need you to step into a specific moment. You're there, standing at the edge of a crowd that gathered without planning to. You didn't come for a service. You came because two people were arguing about something they'd heard. And their argument was interesting enough that you stopped walking. And now you're here. And it's not what you expected. People are standing, sitting, leaning, some listening hard, others whispering while he speaks, a few openly skeptical. And the man in the middle of it isn't performing. He's just talking. Not loudly, not with the rehearsed cadence of someone who knows they're being watched. Clearly enough that people keep leaning in. And then someone interrupts. Not politely, not carefully. Direct, possibly hostile. And instead of shutting it down, Instead of looking offended, he stops, turns, and engages it fully. Like the interruption was the point. Like he'd been waiting for exactly that question. Something shifts in the crowd, because this isn't a performance anymore. It's a conversation. And conversations don't have scripts. That's when they get real.
What I'm about to show you is where the real weight of this video lives. The crowd scene? That was set up. What happens when the crowd leaves? That's where everything changes. Don't go anywhere.
If you follow long enough, you notice something. The most important moments in every account we have don't happen in front of crowds. They happen when the crowd thins, when the energy settles, when movement slows down enough for something real to surface. And almost always, they happen when people sit down to eat. There's a reason for that. And it's not spiritual. It's deeply, stubbornly human. Because when you eat with someone in that world, in that culture, in that moment in history, you're not just sharing food. You're making a statement.
You were saying, this person belongs at my table. And in a world where that statement carried enormous social weight, the people Jesus chose to eat with were exactly the people no one else would eat with. That's the thing they buried. Inside the table. Step into it one more time. The light is different now. Softer. You're not standing at the edge of a crowd. You're at a table. And it's close. Not a long, formal table. Close enough to feel the warmth of the person beside you. Close enough to hear breathing. Close enough that performance breaks down. Your face gives things away. Your silence gives things away. There is nowhere to hide. The bread is shared, which means you reach when others reach. You pause when others pause. Without trying, without realizing it, you begin to sync with the people around you. And something unlocks.
If this is landing for you right now, this is exactly what Biblical Oracle is. Every week, a different layer of the story you weren't given. Subscribe now and you'll get the next one the moment it drops. It's free. The only cost is that you'll never see this the same way again.
Now look at us. We've perfected distance. Not physical distance. Something worse. We have more ways to be connected than any generation in history. And we are more isolated than almost any generation before us. We sit at the same table and don't share. We're in the same room and don't arrive. We hear each other and don't actually listen. We've replaced proximity with performance. We curate what people see of us. We manage our image the same way those painters managed his. Keep the clean parts visible. Hide the complicated ones. And slowly, quietly, we've lost the thing that was actually making us human. The interruption. The discomfort. The meal nobody planned, but everyone needed. That's what they removed from the image of Jesus. Not by accident. Because the real version demands something from you. And a version that demands something is much harder to sell.
Last thing, and this is the part I actually want you to carry with you, not just as a thought, but as something you feel the weight of. Stay with me for 3 more minutes.
So when you picture Jesus again, don't clean the scene. Don't freeze it. Let it move. Let it be crowded, dusty, complicated, alive.
Let someone interrupt. Let there be a question that makes the room tense. Let there be silence after it. nobody rushes to fill. Because that's where it was all happening. Not in a cathedral, not in a painting, not at a careful, managed distance. Up close, where things couldn't be hidden, where performance broke down, where the person next to you stopped being a stranger.
That version of Jesus doesn't just change how you see a historical figure. It changes what you think is actually possible between people. Proximity doesn't just change understanding. It changes people.
If you made it to the end of this, you're the exact kind of person Biblical Oracle is built for. Someone who doesn't want the surface version. Subscribe and watch the next video on your screen right now. It goes even deeper into something this one only touched. See you there.